what is up, everyone? And we're back with the Glimmer cast. I know it's like super random, but yeah, spur of the moment. Obi-Wan just ended, so I have to talk it with some folks who were really eager to talk about it with me. So I've got Mad Max over here from Movies, Madness, and Entertainment, and we also have awesome moderator and friend of the community, Hanz, joining us as well. And yeah, I'm just really stoked to get to talk about this series with y'all, look at some fun images, and maybe play some clips if we play it safe with the copyright, but mostly looking at images. And yeah, I'm just super stoked. So how are you, Max?
Oh, I'm great. I wanted to I've already started rewatching part of the scenes, not like the whole episode, but like the main, like the showdown between them. And this is spoilers. Yes. I think everyone knows, and I'm happy to collab with you, Ray, and Obi-Wan Kenobi super fan Hanz, because Hanz has been saying this is great.
I love it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I know, Hanz, you haven't been on a podcast in a few months, but yeah, I know that you've been a big supporter of this show throughout the whole series, and I know that you're like really, really passionate about talking about Star Wars in general with folks. So I definitely want to get into the nitty gritty of the details with you too. But yeah, Hanz, I would definitely want to hear your take on, the series overall, and then I'll pop up some images from the show that we can click through and, call out things that we think went well with with the series, and things that we think could have been improved, or, where we had some criticisms of. So yeah, if you want to go first.
Where I stand on the show is 10 out of 10. I will watch again. I will probably watch. It's probably going to be one of those shows that I watch like once a year. Like, I loved it. It was amazing. Everything about it. The parallels to it. Both the prequels and the original trilogy. The parallels that come in with the animated shows even. Like, the show had everything in it.
Totally. And Max, what were your, high level overview thoughts before we get into the like episode to episode, scene to scene stuff?
I love it, but I'm not as high as Hanz on it. I think it's a 7 out of 10 for me. It's like a mixed bag. There's some amazing things. I think it makes the whole overall arc of Obi-Wan and Anakin and Star Wars and the Skywalker saga better. There's some amazing things in this series. I think there's a little weirdness with directorial decisions. That's just like, what WTF? Like, what the hell was that? But I don't think it ruins it. It's just like awkward. And honestly, I think there's enough here that, and my pet peeve is when people say, cut it down. I love long movies. I give me as much as you can. But I honestly think in this situation, there's a few little weird stuff that if it would cut down, it would have made it actually better. And I hate to say that because I'm usually on the opposite end. I think there's an amazing, epic story here that it could have been to another level if they refined a few things, tweaked a few things. And honestly, being in Movie Talk so long and covering this the Obi-Wan series, it was supposed to be a movie. They were actually ready to film and they stopped because of creative choices. I could feel the little tweaks in between. Like, the strongest points to me are the opening, the middle, and the finale. And in between, there's some weird escapes and back and forth. I'm escaped, I'm not, or Left 4 Dead, and all this other stuff. But ultimately, there's things in here that make the relationship between Obi-Wan and Anakin stronger. There's a lot of closure there for Obi-Wan that, now that I think about it, like, a lot of the critics say, is this even justified? Did they even need to do it? Now, and I used to think they don't need to do it. It's just extra and it's great. But now I think this is necessary, because if you think about Revenge of the Sith, where Anakin and Obi-Wan left off, and then where they meet in A New Hope without anything happening in between, that would be a weird first encounter after you left him on Mustafar burning. That would be a weird first interaction. But now that interaction seems more natural and organic in A New Hope after they had some closure. And it was like that scene with Obi-Wan saying to Anakin, I'm sorry. And you could feel that was some of his best acting. Oh my God.
Oh
Right
yeah,
there,
I
felt
teared
that.
up. Yeah, it was
I
like
felt that.
it cleansed my soul. Like I felt like every apology that I never got in my life, I got in that moment. Like I just felt like absolved of like all like, you know, all the
Can you
frustration I had in my life in that moment just from Obi-Wan
Yeah.
apologizing to Anakin.
Can you imagine not having that and then going from Revenge of the Sith to New Hope without having this in between? Like now, the New Hope Obi-Wan and the original trilogy was perfect, but when you add in the prequels and then you don't add to this context, I think this really helps. And the only thing that was a little odd to me is how Anakin absolved him of it. He actually helped him along with it. He's like, "You're not responsible," but maybe it was his narcissism that's like, "You're not responsible for me, I am," or something like that.
I want to get Hans's take on this because that's a moment that I definitely want to unpack for sure. So Hans, what were your thoughts on Darth Vader taking like full accountability for basically killing Anakin, or do you think that was just his hubris of not wanting to give Obi-Wan any sense of power over his creation or him owning his strength in that moment?
There's the great thing about Star Wars is you can that's one of the this is one of those scenes that like the three of us might have seen it differently, like get a different view, like opinion of what it meant and how it went, and none of us are gonna be wrong, I don't think. The way I took it was during that scene when he was like saying, "You didn't kill me," or I can't remember the exact lines right now, but the blue lightsaber, Obi-Wan's blue lightsaber, was lighting up his face.
Let me try to pull up
the
the fight scene for you, or the scene for us. I'm trying to avoid copyright, so trying to show these stills, but I can do my best to search for the scene while you're discussing and your thoughts.
Yeah, but yeah, during that scene, the blue lightsaber was giving light to his face, his exposed face during that part. So I think that was symbolizing that Anakin that was a little bit of Anakin coming through to just tell Obi-Wan, "Hey, you didn't do this, but I'm still dead."
Yeah.
And then you notice when he says, "I killed him," that's when the red came in, showing that Anakin is dead. Darth Vader is all that Anakin sees in himself is only Darth Vader because of how far he's fallen. He doesn't. I think at this point, Anakin feels like he's come this far. He can't stop now.
I also really like the conversation with Obi-Wan, how more like what years do to you with trauma, like how in Revenge of the Sith he was frustrated with Anakin, but he was like resolute and like he needed to do this, and he still handled it. But after the trauma of so many years and the nuance in Ewan's performance with how he approaches it, "Oh, I'm sorry," that there was so much more emotional than in Revenge of the Sith. In Revenge of the Sith, confrontation was emotional. "You were my brother. You were supposed to be the one that bring balance to the Force, not," I forget the exact words, but not plunge it into despair.
Yeah, he I don't think in Bridge of the he never like outright apologizes to Anakin in Episode 3, does he?
I don't think so. I have to rewatch it.
No,
I think it's just you were the chosen one, and
frustration. It's more frustration, and trying to handle it while it's happening. But he's like, "Don't do this. I have the higher." He was giving them warnings and like, "Don't do this." But this was,
Oh, okay. I'm trying to play out this scene because I love it so much, but hopefully we don't get copyright claimed because y'all are just gassing me up to watch it again. And it's so beautiful and everything about it is so perfect. I just want to cry and I just cannot. I'm sorry.
I think if you keep pausing it, it could help avoid a copyright.
Okay,
like 50 seconds, yeah.
I'm just like his face though. How can this scene be like so like it's just a beautifully executed scene in my opinion. But yeah, I definitely want to get some like thoughts from the chat really quick. I apologize, chat, for not acknowledging you when we jumped into the stream, but I was like really eager to get into the nitty gritty stuff of it. But yeah, good to see you, Slonko Bomb, Late Night Glimmer Cast. Have fun, guys. Yes, thank you so much, girl. Hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for the comment earlier. Hans says Max always oversleeps. No, he was actually on time. I was the one who was running a little bit late getting y'all the link. Anthony Beltry in the house. What's up? Hello. Ads80 says, Ray does TV reviews too. Awesome. Okay, let's see what people liked about this show. Yeah, we are doing like a full spoiler unpacking review. I'm trying to show clips and stills as much as I can. And for mods, no waiting low. Here we go. Woo. Yep. Arthur Martinez says, hey Ray, I'm here to show you some support. Thank you so much, Arthur. Ads80 says, I've seen it spoil away. Nice. Retro Nerd Girl, good to see you. Hi Ray, I'm excited for this conversation. Me as well. Isaac, Multiverse of Movies, what's up? Hey, it's Grandpa Max. And Tony Izzo, what's up? Anthony Cheeseman, good to see you. Over in my neck of the woods, it was a 7 for me. That's fair. 7's not a bad score. Ads80 says, I won't give my rating. Well, I think most people here loved it, and I won't spoil that. No, it's totally fair. I know that there has been some criticisms in the community about like canon and things like that, and I know Hans and Max are like big into the actual like details of Star Wars like pre Obi-Wan, and like for me, I like it as like a high level overview type of series, so I don't dig into details too
I don't
much.
really see where it breaks canon for me, like because he hangs out with Leia and Luke when they're young. Yeah, F Hans. I agree, Saggy.
Saggy.
But I think is that the major complaint, because he meets up with them as they're young. I mean, honestly, when you're 10, you might not remember, unless there's a consistent person in your life, even if you are force sensitive like Leia is, you might not remember everything. I could skate past that. I don't think it's a big deal. Or like meeting Luke.
Yeah, totally. We can get into that. I just want to catch up with the comments. Fourth 1000 says, the filmmaking of this show for me was horrendously terrible. I feel Disney needs to hire a director with a vision. Not these day players who just follow rubrics to keep it on time and on budget. This is a hot, spicy take. Like, do y'all want to unpack this? Because I don't know where to start.
I could comment on it. I think some of the cinematography and direction was off in certain episodes, but the finale was great. Like they put all the money in this finale on this planet here. Keep in mind, Disney is not playing these games, and one of the reasons George Lucas sold it, besides the backlash from the prequels, is managing a Star Wars show on a budget is hard. So unless you're getting, they are not playing the HBO Max game or HBO or Netflix where they keep pumping more and more. They are making some of these Marvel shows and Star Wars shows on a decent budget. As far as I can tell, I don't have all the details there, but you're also getting more shows because of this and more frequency. Also with the volume of technology, and some even had concerns about how the lightsabers looked. I think they're actually practical lightsabers with lights, like stuff that you could buy instead of going back in later to do CG work. So this is done with release dates and budgetary concerns and more content, whether you think that or not. So I can accept that. I think that the quality is high enough based on those things: the releasing of content, budgetary concerns, and things have changed from the pandemic. It's working for them. There's not a lot of major complaints about but the direction of the episodes, some of the scenes, like where Obi-Wan is taking out stormtroopers, it was a lot of shaky cam. It looks a little sloppy. It was like too much. It didn't feel great. Where it worked in the Mandalorian episodes with Deborah Chow directing, it kind of was like a misstep for me in those episodes. So I understand the directing, but in certain episodes. But the last episode was perfect for me. I loved the cinematography in it, and it felt more like it felt a higher quality than some of the other episodes to me, like the way everything looked on the planet and the shots and the scenes with them fighting. So
yeah, Hans, how about you? Do you want to address any of the concerns Forrest brought up on the chat above? I mean, here.
I completely disagree. I can't get into as much detail as Max because I don't really pay attention to like budget, all that stuff, like all the behind the scenes stuff. I don't really pay attention to that. I just focus on what the actual what is the story they're trying to tell. And to be fair, and like everyone else's defense, I am very willing to forgive some like bad shots or CGI that might not look as good if the story there is able to make up for it. And I think that the story definitely made up. Obi-Wan's this whole journey made up for any of those mishaps. But that's just me. That's how I feel.
Totally. And yeah, I do want to catch up with the rest of the chats. Saggy with her own hot takes over here. Hanz with a hot middle rod. Oh,
that sounds
dang.
painful.
Oh, yikes.
Is she paying me?
Oh.
Arthur Martinez loves Star Wars as well. Yeah. For me, I'm just here for like, you know, the additional context for characters' backgrounds with like Obi-Wan, like post, you know, Clone Wars, which I'm not like 100% familiar with. I haven't watched like, you know, the animated series and stuff like that. So I'm glad that this show made it like a low barrier of entry for folks like me who are, you know, revving up, you know, their Star Wars knowledge a little bit more to get into the show and still enjoy it. Saggy says, I didn't get to watch the last episode. My Disney Plus sugar daddy cut me off. Oh, I could be your Disney Plus sugar daddy, Saggy. I'll hit you up if you need a login. But yeah, let me know. Ads80 says, Arthur Martinez, what's your favorite Star Wars movie and series? Saggy Millens, there will be spoilers in this video. Oh yeah, we're basically talking about the finale like in deep detail, but we'll also talk about like overall, like, you know, maybe some of the characters who, you know, we feel were underutilized, or maybe were like, you know, maybe I missed something apart, like with like Haja and Rokan. I really wished I saw more of them, and I feel like Tala was a little bit of a disappointment as well, how she felt like a plot device and then they kind of like got rid of her at the end, but we can get into that once I finish up the chats. Josh says, I may be the only person who absolutely hated everything about the show. The show destroys canon so badly. So I've spoken with like a few folks like over on Tim's Talks channel. Shout out to Tim's Talks, or Tim's Talk. Sorry, Tim. So yeah, and like there are a lot of folks who are like, you know, very like hardcore like legacy Star Wars fans over in that, you know, neck of the woods. So I was a little intimidated because I'm super outclassed when it comes to, you know, talking about like the nitty gritty details of canon. But they were willing to listen to, you know, my reasons why I, you know, loved Reva. I loved Reva. I'm in love with her, like madly in love with her. Absolutely. Okay. After this episode, after the series finale,
I'm not
like
I don't hate her, but I'm not in like love with her. I'm like, you know,
Josh
there's
is
certain
like
things I like.
dumpster fire, but yeah, no, I mean, to each their own. I'm not gonna, you know, tell you how to feel. I can only tell you why I feel the way I do. But yeah, sorry, I'm the slowest chat reader ever. But yeah, Arthur Martinez says my favorite ads 80 was the New Hope. Was New Hope when it first came out in Hollywood. Nice. And oh wait, the chat just jumped. Sorry. And yeah, ads 80 chatting it up with folks. Tony Izzo says, despite all his evil doings, Vader deserved a hug, as did Kenobi. Yeah, I do feel like, you know, he's definitely a kid who didn't get enough hugs, for sure. And ads 80 says, yeah, this part was interesting. Anakin owning what he did. Yeah, I love that part too. Born and raised in Hollywood. Yep. Donnie Izzo says, not join them are the words, Max. Okay, so he's referring to what you were saying earlier. Ads 80 says, Arthur Martinez is actually really lucky, depending on if you love it or there, because people from all over the world move mountains just to live there. Oh, sorry, they're talking about where they live. And Cylon Scotty in the house. What's up, Cylon? Good to see you. Yes, it is expensive in California. I can confirm that. Ads 80 says, one positive, I will say I love the visuals. There are some elements of the story I liked. Okay, Ads 80 seems to be somewhat critical of the show, but willing to, you know, at least entertain some of the positive thoughts that we are bringing up in the show.
I would like to challenge you on the Reva love. Not that I hate Reva. Yeah,
I'm more than happy to pull that up. I'm sorry, okay. I take years.
Yeah, no. I'm just telling. No, it's fine. I'm just letting you know. Yeah, I'm interested to debate that.
No, for sure. And yeah, Arthur Martinez, thank you so much. Some of the home arcade folks that I hang out with, are showing up. So thank y'all so much for coming through. And yeah, I'm enjoying different points of view. I do too. Like a lot of the folks I support, they do not like the show, and that's okay. Like, you know, I still like them as people. So, and I enjoy, you know, I respect their opinions. And Retro Gaming Revival, what's up? What's up? Oh yeah, and I forgot to send this to Bob. Sorry, Bob, if you're watching this and you're just like WTF. Yeah, let me just go ahead and drop you that link if you're up. So yeah, I just DM'd him on Twitter if he wants
Wake
to
up, Bomberny.
It's like 5:30 in the UK. What's up, Hominus?
No
Good
excuse.
To see you.
No excuse. Not for the Glimmer cast.
Arthur Martinez, are you YouTube? Oh yeah, so y'all are talking amongst yourselves. Okay, so Fourth says, I did enjoy the last episode despite Riva walking around with her with a hole in her stomach. That was a huge, like, you know, question mark for me too, so I can get into, you know, some things that I'm willing to forgive or overlook, just because I love Riva so much. But I won't apologize for the flaws in, you know, in storytelling. I guess only Solo can die from a saber puncture wound. I mean, yeah, like, I mean, no pun intended, but that is kind of a major plot hole. But we can dive into it.
Well, he also fell off the, you know, that high rise thing.
I don't think it's a plot hole.
Sorry, I just wanted to make a bad pun because obviously, like, they both have holes in their stomach. But yeah, I'm sorry.
So I'll explain why it's not a plot hole. So Darth Maul, is he a plot hole? Because Darth Maul gets cut in half, and he survives.
and falls down
and it explains it. He explains it as he had so much hate for Kenobi that he was able to manifest that hate with the dark side to help him survive. And because he did that for so long, it cost him his mind. So it would make sense why dark side users that are strong with the dark side can survive a stab wound like that, where a Jedi wouldn't be able to. Because a Jedi isn't strong with the dark side. If they get stabbed, they're not going to have all that hatred to keep them alive. They're going to more than likely than not be more at peace with their death. Where Darth Maul wasn't. The dark side users probably won't be. You mean
more willing to cheat death and cheat the experience, whereas a Jedi will accept their fate?
Yeah. Because the dark side users, like Darth Maul said, he used his hatred to keep himself alive. Mm-hmm. So the Grand Inquisitor even said that in the episode that he comes back in. He says something like, "You would be surprised."
Motivates you.
Yeah. So that's why it makes sense why she would survive. The one thing that didn't really make that much sense is why they didn't just straight kill her.
Maybe that's something they changed. I don't know.
I don't fully understand that. I feel like maybe it's possible there was an ulterior motive to that, but I don't know.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm just clicking through some of the videos of Riva, and I was trying to find the scene she gets stabbed, and where she's actually like playing dead. And let me see. Oh, we got Tim's Talk in the house. What's up? Just swinging by, Rhea, watching The Boys right now. Yeah, I watched The Boys earlier. Tim, yeah, if we'll probably won't still be on while you're watching the episode, but I did shout you out that I've been on your show a couple times and talked with some dudes who are like hardcore Star Wars fans, and me being just sort of like basically a casual Star Wars fan, it was a little intimidating trying to hold my own against trying to defend my points against folks who have like been fans like their entire life and know like everything about everything. But yeah, they still, were respectful about my opinions and let me speak. So yeah, I appreciate it. So thank you for making that space, Tim. Let's see. So Fourth is saying, yes, Darth Maul is a plot hole and it's silly how he's back. Death is meaningless. I mean, I love Maul. Like, he's so visually and like he's so visually compelling. And yes, like the whole line about the Grand Inquisitor saying like revenge does wonders for your will to live. And I'm just like, yes, that's literally like every either like Sith adjacent or Sith character, you know, like they are, yeah, they're just like driven by this, you know, relentless determination. And I saw that in Reva as well, even though like she has ulterior motives that are not necessarily, you know, Sith in alignment to, you know, the dark side or the Sith. She was still willing to, you know, follow that path as an ends justifies the means type of, you know, way to, you know, achieve her goals. And that's one of the cool things that made me really like, you know, compelled by her character, Max. So like if I'm getting into, you know, why Reva is such a, you know, a bae in my heart. So yeah, I don't want to say I apologize for her a lot. It's just that I feel like throughout watching the show, for me, I will say, and I said this on Tim's show too, that like I do find myself making what is the word, mental gymnastics, or like, you know, filling in the gaps with like, you know, assumptions where the story was for lack of a better word, failing to, you know, let me know the information on screen. And sometimes I'm like thinking, well, I shouldn't expect the show to spoon feed me these things, and some of these things should be givens about her character and her motivations. But at the same time, I understand criticisms for folks saying like, no, her background is, you know, completely, you know, no, like it's kind of like a big question mark, and we're forced to, you know, make these assumptions because the story won't tell us, you know, why she's doing the things that she's doing. So I understand that criticism, but for me, I feel like her motivations allow me to make, you know, logical, quote unquote, guesses about why she's doing the things that she's doing.
Okay. Yeah, the part of my frustration with her character is not necessarily her and the acting ability. Oh yeah, stream elements. You could tip Rhea. I tipped her $5. May the force be with you.
Thank you so much.
Definitely. My frustration is it's hard to understand that she wants to get back at Anakin. I want to understand. Like that's the frustration with me too. I want to feel her angle of, you know, going to Luke, potentially even, you know, hurting a youngling herself. When she's trying to get back at someone that hurt younglings with Anakin, is she trying to do that to embrace the Sith so she could actually take Darth Vader out? Is she justifying doing that? Her justification is, I'll just this one so I could take out Anakin. I think because it does seem at the beginning she wanted revenge both on Anakin and Obi-Wan. Because Obi-Wan failed all her friends. Her family.
Yeah, that whole discourse between the metal door or gate or whatever that they were talking about, you know, like, or Obi-Wan was like, you know, kind of like digging into her mind and trying to get her to talk more about, you know, who she really is and expose herself. Yes, I do see that as like, to Max's point, like she resents Obi-Wan, maybe, and Anakin. Probably like on the same plane, just like, you know, these
they both failed the younglings. It's not just just because Anakin put a blade through them doesn't mean there wasn't some failures with the Jedi Council, and they weren't there for them. They were trying to do other things instead of, you know,
fighting a war as peacekeepers.
Someone was asking how they could tip. You just click that link.
Yeah, thank you so much, ads80. So let me just find the link for you. So it's streamelements.com/Rhea with 4 A's. I appreciate the support so much. Thank you so much for coming through to my gaming streams as well. You're awesome. And yeah, I do discussion panels. It's been a couple months, but yeah, I'm trying to, you know, ramp it up more. So yeah, thank you so much, ads. And Crimson Ghost says, good to see that Dr. Doom took the time out from ruling Latveria to review Obi-Wan.
always.
That's a deep cut right there.
Yeah.
I just
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say like about the whole like getting stabbed
Mm-hmm.
with the lightsaber. Going back to that real quick. We all remember when Anakin, aka Darth Vader, there got 3 limbs cut off and burned alive via lava, and he was able to pull himself up the beach with scorched metal arm. I mean,
that's a good point.
I mean, if you're gonna really look at it, you can say that's ridiculous too. How do you survive that? So it's stuff like that like you just kind of have to like, okay, she got stabbed. she was able to survive it, and kind of just accept it and not try to justify why she shouldn't have or should have, because there's a Star Wars and it's
it has become
Star Wars
a
is a
staple.
fantasy before it's a sci-fi.
It's become a part of the Star Wars staple. It's almost like, to me, it's getting a little bit like Looney Tunes. Like someone's, I'm leaving you for dead. I'm getting stabbed. I come back. It's like, it's a little, it takes a little bit of the impact away from me, but I also accept it. Like, I do still have issues with leaving everyone for dead. Like, Darth Vader looks like a fool right now. He leaves everyone for dead. But then you get the scenes with him and Obi-Wan. I'm like, what do you do? What do you do? So that's why I was saying some of the stuff, I don't get the leaving for dead all the time. Like, even one of my favorite scenes of the whole series, Obi-Wan versus Vader on that planet, when Vader just pummels him with rocks and stuff, and he leaves him for dead. If they just cut out that scene where he's turning away and walking away, and then just go straight to Obi-Wan dealing with it and force holding the rocks and then punching out and then going right to it, there's a way to even make it more impactful. I just don't get the always walking away. Darth Vader's consistently walking away and letting people leave, where he has the power where he doesn't need to do that. It's done more for plot reasons than the strength of the character.
Reva one confuses me still. I don't understand why she survived. I feel like that was that's like the one thing in the show that I'm like doesn't really make sense to me, is why he left her alive. That's why I'm like, well, I guess she's getting a show. Is that confirmed?
Well, they're talking about it. I don't know if it's, maybe she'll just end up in another season. There are rumors. This is why I like rumor talk on my channel. I love rumors. There are rumors that they changed some things, so that could potentially be something they changed to leave things more open-ended for the future. They may go back and adjust small things. Maybe she was supposed to die. I don't know. Maybe they filmed this later. I don't know. I
feel like this. I've been saying this a lot too. I feel like a lot of these writers are afraid to take a risk by killing a main character. I won't say exactly what happens, but in Fallen Order, there's a similar thing that happens where I will argue that a certain character not dying kind of ruined their development. Because a character dying is still part of their character development. If a character dies, that means that's the end of their development. They're a fully developed character. They were able to die and get killed off in a proper way. And I feel like a lot of, like, some of these characters, like in Kenobi, I feel like almost like they did her character dirty by not killing her off.
Something else I just noticed that I've been thinking about is Reva's hairstyle compared to when she left Vader and was left for dead, and then when she's on Tatooine with young Luke and Uncle Owen. It almost seems like this was shot at a really different time, because her hair was, now it might just be like they're trying to show you that she was ragged with being almost dying, but her hair didn't even look like it was done up the same way by the same. So I'm thinking this was done filmed at a different time. I'm wondering if this was part of something that was changed, or this sequence. I don't know. That's just some thoughts that are going through my mind. Not that she looked bad or anything. It's just that her braids weren't like braided up like she was the rest of the series. Was that done intentionally to so that she was, that she went through some stuff and she was struggling, like she's hunched over with her stomach? Or was it filmed at another completely different time, and maybe they did do adjustments to her character? Maybe this was a pickup scene with Uncle Owen, Luke, and, well, I don't know. It also had Ewan, though. That would be hard to do with all of them. I don't know. I'm just thinking about things that could have been changed.
I'm trying to show it right now, because I see what you're saying, Max. Her hair is
I noticed that. I'm just like, is it because she was left for dead, or was this filmed? Are they trying to show that she's struggling, or was it filmed at a completely different time, and maybe this wasn't originally where they were going? Like, even the talking to Luke, like, what are you going to do now? That might be something they changed potentially. It's just thoughts going through my mind. I'm not convinced that either way. I'm just like,
Yeah, I think it was supposed to just show the struggle, because I think when the first scene we see her back on Tatooine, she's just walking through the desert. So she's pretty messed up at this point. She's been stabbed, left for dead, walking through the hot desert all day and night. She's in bad shape.
Oh yeah, definitely. Just to like give some context to like black hair needs to, you know, stay moisturized. Like humidity is going to frizz it the F out. Like yeah, so
I was gonna say that too.
yeah. Just to, you know, throw that out there as well. But Riva has my heart because like she's just, you know, been through the fire, and she was just, you know, by any means type of, you know, of anti-hero throughout the series. Well, she became an anti-hero, I guess, and then somewhat of a redeemed antagonist at the end. So yeah, like it's really challenging for me to defend everything about her, because I do understand that there are some, you know, some details around, like, you know, how her death was handled. But I do appreciate the chat calling out, you know, how maybe like death is like, you know, not given the same amount of weight when we see characters return from, you know, being like fatally like wounded, like, you know, stabbed or chopped in half, like Maul, like Forth called out. But I do see that folks are willing to, you know, at least say that, like, yeah, she is one of the best characters, one of the better backstories. So it might just be like kind of like a plot convenience, you know, for this, in my opinion, a very compelling character to, you know, try and like complete their, you know, hero's journey a little bit, or like their anti-hero's journey a little bit. Oh, go ahead.
Like
Hans.
the way I was gonna add on to that, saying like I'm just letting this, like, her arc be like she's an Inquisitor and she got away. Like, she's probably one of the only Inquisitors to successfully walk away, and now she doesn't know what to do.
And I do think they treat her character a lot, not to bash on the sequels at all, but something that we don't see a lot of in Star Wars is like a different type of character, the journey of a youngling surviving and dealing with that. And then there's a lot in this series that really people don't really put. Order 66 was horrendous in Star Wars, and it's amazing that George Lucas executed on film those scenes, and now we're really dealing with the aftermath in a really interesting way. And even like people like Obi-Wan, imagine if you knew someone that did this to young people, and having the journey. Like, I'm also thinking of Finn, because Finn was one of my favorite characters in the sequel trilogy, where he had an intriguing setup where he's a stormtrooper that abandoned his post and wanted to be a good person, where we didn't really get fulfillment on there. But Riva, I think we got the whole arc. There are some things that were kind of questionable to me, decisions, but I like how much they show backstory, and I think they did a good job with her. I also, what do you want to see with her in the future? Because if they do use her character again, what would you want her to see? Do you want her to try to become a Jedi or a gray Jedi? Is gray Jedi's in the middle, or?
Yeah, I can definitely answer that. And then Forth, I do want to shout you out because I want to get to your question as soon as I finish the Riva discussion. Sorry, I keep mispronouncing her name, even though I pronounce it correctly and then I mispronounce it, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so what I would like to see is potentially like a Ronin type of vibe. I would be like over the moon if her and Mace Windu met, and Mace Windu kind of becomes like, you know, this he steps up to kind of like be like that potential father figure for her, to just, you know, reteach her, you know, the way of the Force, and like, you know, the path of good and light and all this other stuff. I really, really hope that that's a possibility, and maybe like Riva can be reunited with her parents, maybe, because I know like that'll be like an interesting plot line too, like, you know, how younglings are taken away from like their birth parents, and Obi-Wan kind of alluded to that too, like, oh, I had a mom and a dad and a brother as well, but like I barely remember them. So I thought that would be interesting too to explore, like, since Reva doesn't really have like, you know, any like true alignment to like, you know, the path of the Jedi, or like the path of the Sith, or, you know, the Empire or anything like that. Like her allegiance is, you know, to herself now. So what is, like, you know, maybe she can discover who you know, her family is and stuff like that, or where she came from. That would be really compelling too, in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, getting back to Forth's question. Sorry I missed it the first time. So Forth says, doesn't the Empire have TIE fighters? Why not just continue chasing the ship full of rebels and Darth go after Obi-Wan? Where did the Star Destroyer go when Obi-Wan left? And Forth includes when Obi-Wan left the planet after fighting Vader.
I have answers.
Sure, go ahead.
No, they didn't chase the rebels because Vader's direct order was to not to. And he chose not to because he was fueled by pure hatred and emotion. So even the Grand Inquisitor like tried saying like, hey, let's go to the rebels, and he's just like, no, we're going after Obi-Wan. So he wasn't thinking, Vader was thinking he only cared about Obi-Wan. He didn't care about those rebels. He didn't see them as anything.
Really quick, I want to ask you what your thoughts are on that last scene where Plagueis is talking to Vader and saying, maybe you don't have maybe your mind is, you know, not focused on the actual, planet hand, and Vader had to, you know, convince him, no, that's actually Obi-Wan is nothing, even though like Obi-Wan is everything to him. What did you think about that?
When Darth Vader last left Obi-Wan, he was still a learner. I think that's exactly what it meant, was he still had to learn how to control his emotion. You never really see him rage out in the original trilogy. He's always composed for the most part.
And
yeah, I had a little issues with that scene. Even though I loved that Palpatine and Darth Sidious, and you know, I liked so much better than the sequel trilogy version. It was really great, but him just saying, "Okay, I'll listen to you." With all the rage that he had for Obi-Wan, it just didn't feel right to me unless he's lying, and maybe that's why he needed Reva in the first place. He needed someone else to search for it, so it doesn't look like he is obsessed with it, you know, because he also has to do Palpatine's bidding. Maybe that's why he was using Reva and the Inquisitors, and he was giving Reva props when she found, you know, Obi-Wan. He made her Grand Inquisitor just for finding Obi-Wan. Maybe he was lying. I don't know.
I think he was using her the entire time. I think he knew exactly what was going on, and he outsmarted her by giving her exactly what she wanted, knowing that he was going to get what he wanted.
I mean, but maybe that's why you know, Obi-Wan escaped and stuff. He's not supposed to focus on this, depending on what he has other obligations for the Emperor. I don't know. And I don't know. I also can find it confusing why the Emperor said don't try to search out Obi-Wan when he should know more than a lot of people, because he was Palpatine, how important Obi-Wan is and how dangerous Obi-Wan could be, you know?
I think that Palpatine didn't like how much he was focusing on Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
And like just straight, like Anakin's focusing a lot on his old master. Like Palpatine would be like,
he was jealous.
Don't do that.
I'm your master now, youngling.
But yeah, I think Darth Vader was lying at the end when he said like he's nothing. I think that was a lie.
Yeah.
But I think that also showed that he knew that he did need to stop chasing and focus on other things.
I'm just highlighting some of the comments, and Cylon mentioned TIE fighters don't have hyperdrives. Darth could have gone on the shuttle and let the Star Driver go after them, though. Says Fourth has a decent point. And then Fourth says, Cylon Scotty, yeah, I'm not trying to hate. I'm just like, here come the TIE fighters, or they can pick up Vader later. But I get the implication. I think that's the word you're trying to use. And then which matters more, I guess. Yeah, just, not chasing after the rebels and keeping focused on Obi-Wan. I think, like, it's less so much, for me, now that I'm thinking about it more, like, yes, there is, like, a personal vendetta that Vader has with Obi-Wan, for sure. Kind of like, Max, I remember you made that analogy between Batman and Joker, and I thought that made a whole lot of sense. I think there's also this, Obi-Wan is kind of like the catalyst for, the rebellion to stay alive. So, like, he's kind of like that small ember. Like, as long as it keeps burning, it has a chance to, spread. So if Obi-Wan is, thwarted or, bested or something like that, then that inherently, destroys any hope for, like, the rebels to continue on. So I think that there is sort of like a mix of those two, reasons, in my opinion, anyway.
Okay.
And
yeah, actually, a viewer mentioned that, and it kind of helped me with the getting away and escaping. Yeah, maybe we're being unfair, a higher precedent for Star Wars than we put on like comic, because a lot of superheroes and villains always escape and everything, and we let that go. But all of a sudden, it's so silly when Star Wars does it. So maybe it's an unfair precedent to push on to this other property that has heroes and villains, because honestly, if you think about it, the Joker and Batman, they're always escaping or letting each other go, and no one cares. No one cares when it's Joker and Batman. But when it's Obi-Wan and Anakin and Darth Vader, then it's silly. So that helped me a little bit. I still have that stumbling block of always, because I don't want Vader to be silly. I want Vader to be the most intimidating mother effer out in the galaxy,
Oh, he definitely is still.
Yeah. But constantly letting people go kind of makes me question a little bit his impact or intelligence or
well, I think
threat level. But
I think with the Obi-Wan thing is he thought he had crushed him. The entire time he thought Obi-Wan was still pretty weak. And you think, think about that fight. How did all that happen? Vader crushed the ground basically. Obi-Wan fell into it. Now Vader has the high ground and crushes him with rocks. And Vader's arrogance made him think that he had won that. He won that this time. So he's gonna leave, thinking that Obi-Wan's just a weak Jedi. He's not gonna be able to get out of that.
Okay.
Do y'all want to get into some of the additional characters? Like I mentioned, Tala, Rokan, and Haja, and Uncle Owen, and I forget the name of his wife, but
Uncle Owen.
Uncle Owen's, I love him. He's great.
Yeah, I gotta find some scenes of him. Give me one second.
I think his acting was even better than Ewan's. Like, he was so on point with his acting ability. Not to take away from Ewan, but man, was he good as Uncle Owen. It almost makes me want to Uncle Owen series.
I was right. I know. He was great. And now we know in episode 4 when the Empire found them, the two of them went out fighting probably.
Yeah. The other characters, Tala, I loved her character. Some of the other ones fell flat for me. Not that they were bad. They just they're not enough. Kelly, it's late. Stop it. Come here. Come here. You're not getting the kitty. Maybe they just didn't have enough to do. I don't know. They didn't have the charisma. Like, I like the actor. He's Ice Cube's son. He seems like a nice.
O'Shea
he
Jackson.
seems like a nice guy, but he wasn't real charismatic for a pilot person, and maybe he didn't need to be. Maybe that's not in his character description because he's helping save people. But you like kind of the swagger and charisma in Star Wars. You know what I mean? That some of these characters, the one that was pretending to be a Jedi had a little bit of that, but there wasn't much for him to do. Just a few small plot points, you know.
He was kind of useless after he got them off.
Yeah. So, I mean, it might not be their fault. I like some charismatic characters. And that's not taking away from the actor or the person. He seems like a nice guy. I just didn't feel anything from some of them. I still was rooting for them, but I was just like, okay.
Wait, I might have missed this scene, but can y'all remind me? Cylon says, I'm glad they gave Beru a moment when she grabs this cycler stone. Oh, Beru is Owen's wife. Got it. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah. Beru, yeah. There was a Beru appreciation post somewhere that I have to pull up that shows all 4 versions of her from like the prequels and the original trilogy, and then this show as well. But yeah, she was great. Yeah, she was she refused to run and hide. She wanted to stay and protect her home, protect her family. Yeah, she was the definition of a ride or die. So yeah.
Yeah, I loved both of them. For how little they were in the show, they stole the show almost in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're in what 3 episodes total, I think.
Yes. Okay.
And look how much people talk about them.
The one thing I kept thinking was obviously in A New Hope they end up as skeletons, and so I'm just like, God, I hate that I have this image in my head of these wonderful people meeting such a grisly demise. But for what it's worth, I love what the show is doing to honor them, I guess. I guess, right? So yeah,
I completely agree with that.
They could almost do a spin-off show, the Owens, like Leave It to Beaver or something with Luke.
That would be great.
Just like they did with WandaVision, like with the.
They could do a pod racing thing. Maybe Luke could be maybe that can be how they explain why Luke is so acclimated to being a pilot. Yeah, some.
I'm gonna do some click.
Sorry,
I'm gonna do some clickbait. The Owens spin-off series announced. I'm going to do clickbait for later this weekend.
Yes,
now,
do it.
Luke
Luke
did fly those what were those speeders he would fly? I can't think, but yeah. It's he did know how to fly, and actually in A New Hope, his friend Dak, I think he meets there in A New Hope in the Rebellion, someone he knew from Tatooine. So there's definitely room to have a Luke spin-off when he's in a teenage years almost.
Totally. Yeah, and then checking in on the chat, Cylon says Roken will be back for Andor, I bet. Yeah, I want to see more of Roken. I had this theory that so Roken lost his wife, right? And so that's kind of why he's committed to, the cause. And there was this scene where Obi-Wan was walking through this carbonite chamber of basically people suspended in living death in carbonite. And there was this lingering shot of this woman, and it was kind of like a close-up of this woman just sort of in carbonite. And I assumed that was someone important, and I was like, is that Roken's wife? It would be awesome if they, had some scenes dedicated to them trying to, recover these people, suspended in carbonite. But that we didn't get that. But maybe in the future we might. I guess I don't know what happened to those, to that station where those people were held at. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting to kind of give Roken some weight there, but they kind of fumbled as far as actually executing giving him weight in the story. It did feel like he was kind of a plot device, and that was disappointing.
I almost it's all the side characters are almost meant to be the plot devices for other shows, unless they died in it. But because this show, it really did heavily focus on Obi-Wan. And it's like his journey. Everyone else around him is just a side character, and that's how they were written almost. I don't know if that was the intent, but if you like look at it where it is Obi-Wan is the main focus, we're not going to end up knowing backstories for a lot of people because we're looking at it from what Obi-Wan knows.
Totally. And let's see, did we already talk about Tala and Max? Did you already get a chance to cover, how you felt about her character?
Oh, I really liked her character. I wish she would continue. I think she'd be interesting in other series too. So it's this, maybe she can somehow show up in other series if it was done before this. I don't know. But I really like her character. That actress is a really strong actress from Game of Thrones. The other big surprise for me was how much, and it really irks me that people were so harsh on young Princess Leia, because her acting I thought was amazing for a young actress.
Oh, and I have to find clips of her too. Yeah, thank you for the reminder.
And that relationship with Obi-Wan, like I keep thinking one of my favorite scenes of the whole series that wasn't like very action oriented was when they're on the back there and she's like, "Are you my father?" And I still think about that. He's like, "I wish I could say that was true." And I almost get like conflicted feelings there from Obi-Wan, because I do think he had a lot strong, I don't know if they were romantic, but really strong feelings for Padme too, where he wouldn't blur lines like Anakin did. No, I'm not saying romantic, but he had a lot of love for Padme.
I think what that meant was he.
No, I know. I'm not saying it directly meant that he would want to be the father, but he had so much love for her, and maybe he wishes she had a father. He regrets how that went down.
Oh yeah. Okay, I do agree with you.
Yeah, but I do think he had not romantic, but extremely strong feelings for Padme, and there's also an added level of frustration there because he kind of let things happen with not that it's his place to get in between someone else's relationship, but the Jedi Order, they normally would. If the Council would have been aware of this, he obviously was, and he knew things were going on in Revenge of the Sith in the Attack of the Clones. And he just kept quiet about it. And not that it was there's all kinds of problems with the Jedi Order and the Council to begin with, that they should be involved with that. Maybe if they didn't have to keep it a secret, maybe Anakin wouldn't have been fine. Maybe if the Council, now I'm going on a tangent. It brings up all other questions, like if the Council embraced attachments and handled it better, this wouldn't have sent Anakin and Padme on this path and where their whole life is destroyed. Where if they were more accepting, it might be the Jedi Council's fault, that they had to hide it. That shouldn't be a way to be. Even if you're force sensitive, why can't you be attachment? It's the manage your attachments, So that just, I'm sorry, I went off there, but go ahead.
I'm just like really enthusiastic. If I had to kind of give some high level thoughts of like what I would like to see in the future for this series, since we're coming up on an hour. Obi-Wan riding into the desert with Qui-Gon, which I will find a scene, some clips for y'all, even though we've all seen it. I definitely want to see Obi-Wan, fall in love again. I want to see him find, more, or even just like, companionship and a place of belonging while he's, waiting for Luke to grow up. I want him to, live his life. I don't want to see him just, rot in the desert waiting, and, kind of like, keeping an eye on Luke. I want him to find new purpose. So that would be my hope for the potential next season. How about y'all?
I'm in almost a complete opposite. I want to see Obi-Wan. I think it's perfect ending here where it is now. But if they did a season 2, I think they would need Liam Neeson back, and they would have to do like Obi-Wan's training with Qui-Gon Jinn, and it would be heavily focused on that training and watching over Luke, and maybe during the show something happens like actual Tusken Raiders attacks. But I think the show I would love to see Obi-Wan's training with Qui-Gon.
I'm complete opposite, Hans. I want to see
We're all opposites.
I want to see the young adventures of Obi-Wan. Honestly, I want him to get some and like have little Kenobis, and
Yes!
maybe that'll be a sequel trilogy in the future. I don't know how he could justify. I don't know how he could justify leaving them though after what happened to Luke and Leia. But yes.
Remember how everyone wanted Rey to be Kenobi's daughter? That's
Yeah,
what
yeah.
I wanted too. And if we don't, since obviously the sequels didn't give us that, I'm hoping, like Max, that would be an amazing theory, just to like Obi-Wan have like secret children somewhere, and then we get to see more content of them. I know it just sounds like so like ridiculous.
I
and
think
dumb,
I can
but
hear
I love
Hans
stuff
cringing.
like that.
I can hear Hans cringing because he's like,
I
want
Hans, why don't you want Obi-Wan to be happy for once in his goddamn life? God.
Jedi Council was wrong, Hans. The Jedi Council was wrong. Look what they did
Yeah,
to
and
Anakin
he
and
was-
Padme.
Yeah, Obi-Wan's directly involved in that.
Oh my gosh. Okay, David's saying Disney wants to punish him like they punished and humiliated Luke by leaving him an old curmudgeon in exile and turn evil. No, come on, dude. That's not like. I hope that that's not true.
Well,
I'm not super
wait,
cynical
but that
about
shit
it.
happened.
Isn't the whole Skywalker saga the Jedi Council's fault for not allowing attachments, and that's impractical.
No, it was
Especially-
for holding Anakin back when Anakin
that
knew he
too.
could do things, and they were scared he was learning too fast. or
That
they're scared
too,
of power.
holding him back, not being not being a true mentor and listening and
There he is, the
and
greatest
telling
Jedi
people
in the
to-
world.
yeah.
Oh, Qui-Gon is the greatest Jedi.
He should have been the Grandmaster.
Oh yeah, he was a lot more lenient with the path than the others were. If Qui-Gon was alive, things would have been a lot better.
Remember when Count Dooku said he wished Qui-Gon was alive so he can help
Yeah.
him? And Obi-Wan's like, he wouldn't have helped you. I don't think Qui-Gon would help Count Dooku, but I don't think he
would
would
help
get
Anakin.
involved in the war at all. He'd be
What do you-
very against that.
What do you think about this idea that I have, that I was hoping Obi-Wan would come to terms with Qui-Gon being gone and we would not see Force Ghost, and Obi-Wan would, no longer have ties to, his past life. He has to find new meaning and new purpose. I'm not angry about Qui-Gon showing up. It's just that for me, I feel like Qui-Gon is kind of a crutch for Obi-Wan to continue to be mentally and emotionally chained to his past and chasing after something that's no longer existent. Like, the Jedi Order is no longer existent at this time in his life.
I would push back against that, Rhea. I think he is important to him not being so chained down by the Jedi Order, because Qui-Gon was different. He did do things differently, even taking an Anakin. So
That's fair.
I think Qui-Gon could help him on his new path of not being tied down by the old ways of the Jedi Order. And Qui-Gon is as much free thinker as you could be within the Order, not
He went
Dooku
against
level.
the Order a lot.
Yeah.
What's up, DL? DL says, I'm glad we actually had a payoff from Yoda teaching Obi-Wan to communicate with Qui-Gon. Yeah, totally. So that is probably like a plot thread that I wasn't 100% familiar with, because I was totally expecting Qui-Gon not to show up, and Obi-Wan would have to come to terms with, he's really gone. Like, it's time to move on. But
Oh yeah, Qui-Gon teaches him how to become a Force ghost.
Okay, sorry. I'm like thinking of like conventional like plot threads of like characters needing to move on with their life, and you know, the dead is dead. But like I know that in Star Wars, no one's ever really gone, obviously. So yeah, but yeah, I'm not angry at it. I just I made the assumption that was the way the story was going to go. Like, he has to let go of Qui-Gon. But I'm totally stoked that we're going to get more Qui-Gon adventures, potentially, and more with Obi-Wan. So, yeah.
I understand where you get that from, though, because the Jedi are always, like, telling them, you have to let go of your attachments. And throughout this entire show, all he wants to do is communicate with Qui-Gon, and he's not letting go. So that... I can see where that would have made for a good story too, though.
For sure. But yeah, this has been like an awesome conversation. I definitely want to have y'all on again to talk more stuff. Obviously, we're going to talk about Rings of Power when it drops in September.
The Boys, maybe.
The Boys, and Hanz, do you have any interest in watching Andor and Ahsoka and all the other content coming out?
I'm very excited for Andor. I've been waiting. When I heard it was coming out, I was very excited.
Oh, I know this is Star Wars, but did you see those orc pictures, Hanz?
They look great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to set up another stream so we could talk about everything new that has popped up in the last few months since we last covered Lord of the Rings. But yeah, this is awesome. Ad says Liam Neeson ate up the whole Obi-Wan budget for 5 seconds of screen time. Worth it. And counter argument, not sure we can call it a payoff. We got a glimpse of Obi-Wan. I know, but it's just like fan service like that I can get behind, even if it's like not the way I personally would have like wanted the story to go. I can appreciate it. And Arthur says Star Wars movies make me smile. Yes, absolutely. That is, the whole, point of me covering it is like, I enjoy this content and I want to talk about it with people who also watch it and want to discuss it, whether they like it or not. I'm sorry, Hanz, what were you about to say?
Oh, I didn't say anything.
Okay. Yeah, closing thoughts. Max, anything you want to, wrap up on Obi-Wan?
There's a lot to rewatch there. It's very rewatchable. I also did a comparison, not to hate on the sequel trilogy, but I think they did Old Man Obi-Wan a lot better than Old Man Luke with the context and the direction and all the everything that they provided. I love the journey more than Old Man Luke. In Last Jedi, there's some parallels there of how they had to cut themselves off from the Force, how they both suffered through a tragedy with younglings dying. There's a lot there, but I really enjoy it, and I think some people like this doesn't need to happen. This series absolutely needed to happen because it makes between the Revenge of the Sith and the New Hope, when they meet up, it makes it more impactful, and I could see why even Obi-Wan and New Hope has come to terms with just letting go and letting Vader take him away. He's past this part. Whereas if this didn't exist, you would kind of see like, how does Obi-Wan still deal with what happened in Revenge of the Sith when he first time he sees him again in A New Hope? This helps a lot. It helps deal with all that emotional stuff. And man, is that powerful storytelling, that those emotions that you get from Anakin and Obi-Wan going back and forth, explaining their feelings, I'm sorry, and dealing with all that. I can't believe we might not have had that interaction, because that's amazing storytelling. So this series definitely justifies itself. There's some things that are iffy in it, but it's definitely a positive for Star Wars and great for the overall arc of these characters. And I wouldn't have it the other way.
Yay! Awesome. Thank you so much, Max. And I'm sure this isn't the last time we'll talk about this show, but I did want to just, jump into it and get my discussion panels ramped up, and I'm glad we did it on this topic. But yeah, last but not least, Hanz, any closing thoughts on Obi-Wan and things you're looking forward to, and anything else you want to, wrap up on on this topic?
Yeah, going to Obi-Wan, I didn't think I had low expectations. I wasn't expecting to like it, and it blew my expectations out of the water. I'm very happy with how the show turned out, to the point where if they did do a season 2, like we talked about earlier, if they did it the way like I was thinking, I would be 100% down. And Andor, I'm very looking forward to Andor, to see his backstory, his gritty backstory. I think that'll be very interesting.
I'm looking forward to that too. I'm going to watch all these shows. I'm going to talk about them with y'all, and I'm looking forward to all of it. So yeah, this has been episode 36 of the Glimmer cast. I did want to call this season 2, but I like the numbered episode vibe. But yeah, this is basically episode 1 of season 2. And yeah, thank y'all so much for tuning in. I know it's really late, and thank you to Max and Hanz for coming through to chat about Obi-Wan Kenobi, and the series finale and everything we thought about it. So yeah, thank you everyone in the chat. Hope y'all have a great evening, and I'll go ahead and play the outro. All right, take care everyone. Bye.